Okay, so this scenario comes from the Khan Academy video that I have linked and asked you to watch before you look at this. So they have our hypothesis here and the test statistic and the p-value that comes from running that scenario. So they didn't talk about very much what that actually means. We have usually alpha is 0.05, that's our significance level. It is anything in that critical region would be rejected. Anything outside of that region would fail to reject the null hypothesis. But anyway, that 0.05 area goes along with your T critical, whatever that critical value is. And so I just use my calculator, and if you had 24 degrees of freedom, remember that our sample size was 25, and degree of freedom is always sample size minus 1. So with 24 degrees of freedom, if you want your critical region to be 0.05, then your T critical would be negative 1.711. So I've marked that here kind of with a bold line, negative 1.711, and shaded in everything to the left of that. Remember, that's because we have a less than alternative hypothesis. Everything to the left of that would have an area of 0.05. So anything in that shaded region would be rejecting the null hypothesis, but anything in this wide open region would be failed to reject the null hypothesis. So then if we look again, that's the critical T critical at negative 1.711, that represents the 0.05. If we look at where this test statistic actually fell, if this is negative 1.711, this is where negative 2.5 would be, okay? So this area 0.0098, which is our p-value, that is the area, I'm going to erase it actually, that is the area that is to the left of there. And so anything to the left of negative 2.5, negative 2.5, that represents the p-value, the probability of getting a sample of 4 if you have, so like this part right here, that is our p-value. That is the probability of getting a sample as low as we did if the null hypothesis is really true. Is it true that the average age of teachers is 5 years? And we're rejecting that, and we think it's actually less than 5, because that's the probability of it being true. And this is so unlikely. This is not even a 1% chance. And so you're saying it is very, very unlikely that this is actually true for me to be able to get a sample that small, like with that low of an average. So I know this is so confusing, but basically it's just the area under the curve. So you have to remember the 0.05 is the area under the curve. That's going to be, in this scenario, that's going to be to the left of your critical value, our T critical there, and anything in there would be a reject the null hypothesis. Now, if we worked out our test statistic and it came out to like -1, let's say, it would be over here in the white space, and so you would fail to reject HO. So anything in the shaded area is going to be a reject. Anything in the outside of that shaded area is going to be a fail to reject HO. Hope this helps.